Papa.
Pitch.
Puputik.
Puputik. Kaya kau.
Kawa.
Waki.
Kukin.
Kukin.
Kapamik.
Kapamik. Spooky.
Kuyu.
Kuyu.
Sawasku. Tina.
Sukif me.
Tanuk.
Tanuk.
Tetu.
Tomo. Asuk. Namu. Tukuk.
Kumuk.
Wasnik. Isnuhu. Wawat. Hake. Hena. Konanu. Yaksumi. Yichki. Yukifwi.
Okay. Someone, I think Graham, it's you that is going kaya kawu pamik, having the end go up. So we gotta practice having the second last syllable go up, like papa, pichak, popotik, kaya kawu, waki, pokin, kakpamik, spoke, koyo, sawasko, sina, sokismeyet, tanok, teto, tomo, asok, tenamo, toktohomik, wasnekit, wasesnojos, wowat, jape, jena, jonakonok, yaksomis, yetski, yokiswi. Okay, do you understand that? So the second last syllable, if you want to underline them, if you have them on a paper in front of you. Now, the other question what I was going to ask to just for the starting of this, next week or the week after, do you want us to put those words, those phrases all together so you can see the word as one whole? So do you want it for next week or the week after?
I'm happy for it to be next week.
Me too.
Okay. Okay, so there's two, and I think that's pretty well what everybody wants. So next week, Mara, do you want to make a note of that?
I'm already on it.
Okay. So as the beginner learners, we had broken these up into the we call syllables. So now we'll put the words together the way they're written in our dictionary, or how we would write it. And this was just to get the syllable sounds to practice, like the cha, chi, chu. Like you'll see that ta, you'll see si, you see so, to, ti, wist. So next week we'll have all these words all put together, back together, so that they're a total word. And then that'll teach you to make out, hopefully you'll remember how the syllables were broke up here so that you can learn them by, if you see, let's say if I wrote a small paper and used some of these words, then you would understand what word that is. Okay, so we'll do that. So let's go and see how quickly, let's go back to the other one. I want to go back and just sort of go through it very quickly, say it as quickly as you can. And it doesn't matter whether you guys some get left behind or get all mixed up. So let's go. Papa, Ichak,
Papa,
Kaya kau.
Gawagao. Waki.
Kokin.
Tuki.
Kukin,
Kakpanik.
Haken,
Spuhi.
Pukin,
Toyo.
Sawasku.
Nina.
Zena.
Sukishme.
Kishmiet,
Tan.
Tanu.
Pano,
Titu.
Etu. Tomo.
Tume.
Tetu,
Atu.
Tashluk.
Tasluk,
Tanamo.
Tanamu,
Uktuhumit.
Kumut,
Tukushmuk.
Wasnik.
Washnik.
Wishinopus.
Wishinunus.
Wash.
Wash.
Kapin.
Kapi,
Kena.
Hena,
Hena.
Konanu.
Konano.
Yaksumi.
Yaksume.
Yaksume,
Yichki.
Yishki.
Yukkefi.
Yukmi,
yeah, that was very good. That was for the first time to blend all those syllables together. That was good because I could, if I were in a room just hearing the voices, I would have been able to understand what you guys were saying. And for me, that's always been the test. When a person is learning the Ktunaxa language, I bring in other elders to listen, and they sort of give a mark. They understand what people are saying. That's our goal. So that's good. That's good for the first time of putting everything, like blending everything together. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So just to review, so we have Kasa for 3, Wo from Itwo. So that's 3 with a 10. Sa means again. Okay is 1. So Kasan Wum Sa okay is basically saying 3 plus the 10, again the 1. So it's very similar to French, I believe. So let's go down to review 31 to 40. Kasan Wum Sa okay.
Gachlan wunta okay. Gachlan wunta as. Gachlan wunta gasha.
Sa.
Gachlan wunta waka. Gachlan wunta yiku. Gachlan wunta imisa. Gachlan wunta wistasha.
Wistasa,
Gachlan wunta wihata. Gachlan wunta gegitu. Hachanu.
Hachanwu,
Hey, does anybody have any problems with that?
Sorry, Alfred, I'm on mute because I don't sound very good. Could you say 37 again, please.
Das Sanwum sa Wistasa.
Wistasa.
Das
Okay.
Sanwum sa Wistasa. Okay, just a question. Did you say you were on mute?
I was, because my voice doesn't say. God, I'm losing my voice today.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I was just wondering. I was going to give you a heck.
You don't want to hear
That's
me.
okay. Next week, hopefully, it'll be better. Then we can hear you, because it gives me an indication of how you guys are doing the sounds with the what I call the blending together. So that's good. That was really good. So let's go to 41. Okay, so again, we have Chacha in there, Wu from 10, and then again Sla. Okay, 1. Okay, do you guys want to try and read that?
Sure.
Okay, okay, good. I want to go to the next slide. Okay, before we do this one, I want you guys to count from 31 to 40.
Sanwum Sla Uki.
Kasanwam sa
Kasanwam Sla Az. Gatsanwum La Gatsa. Gatsanwum La Cha. Gatsanwum Sla Yiku. Yeku. Gatsanwum Sa Nisa. Gatsanwum with Gatsanwum Sa
Gotcha.
Kusanwum Sa Gaitu. Gatsanwum La Itu.
Good.
It's 40.
Okay, so
There's a small amount of
just,
cheating, just like a little bit. Back and forth.
yeah, that's good. That was enough help that you guys needed to. And my point there is you guys are not my pet parrots. So you guys are going to be learning how to count those numbers off by memory without having to look at the paper. So that's what I'm pointing out here. That's why I put that surprise in there. But I'm such a mean teacher,
You're a firm and hard teacher, but I guess that's how you learn, especially when you're an adult. You need a bit of pushing.
Yeah, and I think that's I know with my other group on the Tuesday night group, they do get like little surprises like that. I'll change things once, but they've got so many different, I'm going to call them files of the language. Well, here we've got the numbers, we've got the sounds, the words, the numbers, but the numbers are fairly easy to remember if you know 1 to 10. Okay, katsa, khatsa, yeko, in misa, wasasa, wukhatsa, kaikitwo, itwo. So if you know those basic numbers, so khatsan for 40 is khatsa, khatsan with a 10, wo, khatsan wo. So do you guys see the woes from it wo and 4 and then wo from it wo. 4 and then 10 and then again sa and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's the basic number system that we have. Okay, so let's do the colors now. Gan hamika.
Hamika.
Kakohmaka.
Wakachmaka.
Smaka.
Kakohmaka. Kakohmaka.
Kakumaka.
Kamaka kukam. Nuhus.
Ktunaxa.
Gamko kokos nohos. Gamko
Nuhos.
Nuhus.
Yeah.
And this,
So I think I don't know. Do we have a black kokos is black? It's a word for black. And then nojos, yeah, there it is. And nojos comes from the word red. Nojos, ganojos. So that's the two colors put together to make one word and the color. So black is red is what they use for the color brown. There is another word, but I found it the other day, yesterday, but I didn't write it out because I think this one is a little bit easier to remember. If you think black, red, black is red. Okay, rainbow is
Inismi.
next one.
Nojos.
Okay, next one, there's two words for blue.
Ktunaxa.
And the last one is
Nujos.
Again, you see the nojos in there from the word red. Okay, we have two words for blue. Up here in the above the international border, we use the term Ktunaxa. Okay, and the yaminkan up here is our word for bluebird. Okay, but down across the line, our Sanka group around Elmo, and I'm not too sure about Bonners, which one they use, but they use Yaminkan for the color blue and for, I believe, the bluebird, the name for the bluebird. So Ktunaxa is an older word from what I'm going to, from what I'm seeing from that. Okay, next slide. So we got purple keikup.
Kikuk.
Ktunaxa.
Kamakche. Kamakche. Kamakche.
Kamkokokos. No, or kamkokokos.
Kamkokos. Kamkokokos. Kamkokokos. Kamkokokos.
Then Ktunaxa again.
Kamakche. Kamakche. Kamakche.
Kamnokso.
No. Kamnochu. Kamnochu.
Then Kakakohmaka.
Gagakukmaka. Gagakukmaka. Gagakukmaka.
Okay. And the word for colors is on top of the page. Akahamik.
Akahamik.
Okay, so let's go. Any questions on that?
Not
Jade,
any.
we're gonna have to send you some. We're gonna have to send you some toothpicks for your eyeballs so you don't fall asleep. I just caught Jade yawning.
Oh, Nick, dude. I'm sorry. It's just I think it's the dryness in my mouth after all the shashlik.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not boring. I'm loving every minute.
Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Okay, days of the week. I guess we'll have to change that, I think, to rather than having the English on there, we'll find the we'll change that to Ktunaxa beside it, I think, which will be very similar to counting the days. Okay. Sa
Ukkenmiet.
ukmiet. So what does that mean
Number 1 day.
besides Monday? What's that?
Number 1 day.
Yeah, again, the first day. Ksa is the same as ksa in our numbers. So again, the first day or number 1 day. So Monday. Okay, Tuesday is
Ukkenmiet.
Miyet.
Miet.
Ksa Miyet. Okay, Wednesday, Ksa
Kagachamiet. Kagachamiet.
Kasaniyet.
Miyet.
Thursday,
Miet.
Friday,
Yekumiet.
Ekumiet.
Yekumiet.
Saturday,
Emisaniet.
Emisaniet.
and then Sunday is
Ukkenmiet.
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 Ukkenmiet. Yeah, that means the ending of the counting of the days. Ukkenmiet. So it so we have our own way of describing the different days when I was learning this stuff, because we very seldom had these words when we were brought up. We just had conversational Ktunaxa that we heard. So a lot of times we weren't really taught how to speak the language. We learned it by listening and trying to understand what they were saying. So when I learned Kokachinmeyit, I couldn't figure out what it meant. So upon that, I had asked one of the elders, and they said it's the last day of the week. And then when I learned the language more, it was the ending of the counting of the days. Kokachinmeyit. Okay, so next slide. Any questions on that one?
Alfred, if I can add it, Cindy, one way that I found really helpful with the days of the week is I would go through my agenda for work and every single week repetitively write the Ktunaxa there. And then as I wrote it and said it, it made more sense. And then I was seeing it connected with that day of the week. Just as a little tip.
Okay, yeah. So we've got I always say that there's three, or let's say there's four buddies here, four friends. We've got Miyit ending is day, Akin Miyit, and then we've got Akin Mitit, which is Miyit is week or day of the week. Sorry, my mind is going into Ktunaxa. Everything is backwards when you think in Ktunaxa. So days of the week is Miyit. The date of the month is Mitit, ends in Mitit, Mitit. And then the month is Natanik, which is our word for sun also. And then a year is Makut, Makut. So those four are the four words for the different parts of the calendar. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, months of the year. So we have Naktasuk,
Natasuk.
and that is all the dates of the month are relating to what is happening out on the land. So January, layers of ice form with water in between. So there'd be like shell ice. So, and then February is Nupko Natanik.
Nupku Natanak.
Natanik.
And that is the month, it's called bear month, because that is the month or the time where the baby cubs are born. Okay, so the next one is thick oak. Thick oak.
Thick oak.
Then that means the melting snow. And the water is also starting to run, the melting snow and the running water. Thick oak, thick oak. And then April is Gakme. Gakme. That means the time when the land is cracked up.
Gakme.
And then May is Osome.
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 And that means high water, the time of high water. June, Koko Kupo. Koko
Coco. Coco.
and that means ripening of the strawberries. And then July, Coco Scomo.
Coco.
Como.
Coco. Como.
Ripening of the Saskatoons or service berries.
Mm.
And the August is, this one is a fairly hard one. Just mitis sick wait.
Quiet.
So that should be a hard cue. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Sick wait. Just mitis sick wait.
Get quiet.
Quiet.
Sick wait. That one is a tongue
Quiet.
twister. That's always the hard one. That means the fruit ripening during the night. The nights are so warm that the fruit continues to ripen. That's the month of August. And then September, Os Macaco.
Macaco. Macaco.
And that is the ripening of the choke cherries. And then October, Popakpik.
Tobacco cake.
And that means the leaves are, I always say the leaves are cooked and they're falling off when they're drying out, when they're starting to fall off, when the leaves fall off. And then November, Asok Chupka. That means the deer, the time the deer are making sounds. And that's during the running season. Asok Chupka. And then Osmokosas Hamas is the American one, American word. Osmokosas Hamasis.
Gosh,
Hamasis. That means first prayers. And up here we have Nestamo.
Stamo.
And then you'll go back up to January, and then you'll see Mitchastitnam compared to our Naktasok, which is what we use up here, which means the ice or the water underneath the ice. And Mitchastitnam is the below the border, the Canada-US border, and that means the time the people are shooting, which came after the Christian conversion, and we would go out and shoot the rifles on beginning midnight of New Year's New Year's Eve, and we bring in the New Year with shooting. And then there were certain prayers, the Catholic prayers that were said at those times. And then so that's what some of our people still do that. But that's yeah, that's what those two are. So a lot of times you'll hear some people will say the Ktunaxa, the people shooting, or the Kosmokosas Hamases, and those are the American side. So I'm very fussy with being up here as in a Kishknuknik, and but we use the old terms, Naktasok and Nistamo. And then Nistamo, if you remember in one of our words, ta, the word for ta, the sound ta, tamojo, you have the word tamojo for it to be dark. And my guess is this is when the times are dark, when it is dark, nistamo. And then farthest from the sun is when the sun goes south, another term that been used for nistamo. Okay, let's go through it one more time. Naktasok,
Naktasok.
Noko,
Nakane.
Tikok,
Ik
Kakami,
Ami,
Kumi,
Squam. Quiet.
Quiet.
Smakaku. Tupka. Nistamo.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Alfred. Did you say that up here we usually use Nistamo or
Yeah, Nistamo.
Okay.
I think I accidentally
So-
clicked to the next slide midway through, but
I was wondering, I thought you just flipped the Nakta, so for the month of January, I thought it flipped over.
yeah, it's the next slide, and I think my keyboard is ultra sensitive, so when I'm going to be more careful.
Okay, that's okay, because it brought me to explain the two. So when you see two words for January and two words for December, you know where they came from.
Mhm.
Now, the month of August, just mitis, which means the nighttime, click wa'it. The way I learned how to remember that, I remember just mitis, and then the click, which would be a hard Q bar like K. I thought about, if you think of saying kick 'em, click 'em, that's a good way to remember that. So kick him, so you'll go click him. You understand that?
Click 'em.
But just the way to remember that click, just make this
Click 'em.
click. Yeah, click what it. And the what it is, I believe, pertaining to light or something very similar to light. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Yeah, this is where the other one. So again, let's just go to the English part. January, the people shooting. And again, that's after the black robes came and they changed it over to the people shooting with the rifles. Some of the stories I heard about that was that the whole community would go out and there'd be, you know where the St. Eugene Mission church is? Down in Cranbrook. There's photographs of, there used to be houses all there and all the people from the whole nation would go there for New Year's, Christmas and New Year's because of the Catholic religion. And I heard stories that there'd be a lot of people in a single line and they would shoot at midnight on New Year's Eve and to bring in the New Year. And they had certain prayers they would say, and then they'd take one shot. So all of them in the line would take a shot. They'd continue praying, and then after they finished praying, the second shot would be fired. And then they pray again for the third shot to be fired after they prayed for the third time. So that's where the people shooting came from. So who remembers why it's called Bear Month, the month of February?
Cubs are
Bear
born.
cubs are
Bear
born.
cubs.
Yeah, the cubs are born in that. And then March is fairly easy, melting snow. Now, April, how many had anybody realized that the ground cracks up? Like when you look at the ground, you'll see it's got cracks.
Last
Anybody notice?
April, I paddled down most of the Columbia wetlands and saw a lot of places with cracked land like that.
Yeah, and that would be a good place to go is along the water, but even in the uplands, you can really see the cracks coming up, and so that's why they relied on looking at the land and the environment to, it was cyclical. So, and then May is high water when the high water is rising. June, the strawberries are ripe. And then Kokoskomo is the ripening of the Saskatoon. And then August is when it's warm enough at night that the fruit keeps ripening. And September, ripening of the choke cherries. And October, the leaves are falling. And then November, the deers are making sound or talking. And then first prayers, which is really Christmas, is what that's all about. The celebration of Christmas. So that's where that name came from for the month of December. Okay, let's go on to any questions? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, the four seasons. Akis kakukot. Akis kakukot.
Kakuku.
Kakukot.
Kakosot.
So mayit namo.
Umayit namu.
Sumayit namo.
Aksukut Namo.
Asukut
Aksukut
namo.
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 Asukut namo.
Sukut namo.
Aksukut Namo.
Ktunaxa Namo.
Tupnakut
Nakut
Namo.
Namo.
Tupnakut namo.
Wanoyet Namo.
Wanoit
Nuyet
namo.
Namo.
Wanoit wano namo.
So those are the 4 different seasons. You've got Ktunaxa Namo is in the spring. Aksukut Namo is summertime. Ktunaxa Namo is the fall. And Wanoyet Namo is the winter. Okay, any questions? I have not been able to break those down into really understanding what they mean. So I've been just sort of memorizing those. I have a hard time with summer, Aksukut Namo, but the other ones, Ktunaxa Namo, Wanoyet Namo, Ktunaxa Namo, I don't have an issue with. But Aksukut Namo is a little bit hard because it doesn't make, like, for my brain to go there to learn that one is really hard because it doesn't make any sense to me yet. So any questions?
Sukut.
Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Okay, homework. Be ready to translate your birth date and months. Then we will be sharing that during the next week for anybody that wants to share. I noticed we haven't been doing the homework during our sessions when there was homework to be done. Or is it the first homework? That's the kind of teacher I am. I don't worry about homework.
I think this is the first real homework. We had to think of some phrases we'd like translated before, but I think this is our first real assignment.
Okay, yeah.
What order do the dates come in again? I think it's different than in English. Like if my birthday was in May and it was the 7th, like what order would that go in?
Okay, if you go back, let's go back to the start of the slide presentation, to the first one where it says I think it's my picture and Mara's on the first slide. One more.
Oh, really?
Where it says Ktunaxa language. Yeah, there we go. Okay, you'll notice that under my name and Mara's name, we have Sis, Ksa, Itwom, Sawist, Asan, Mititni, Naktasok, Natanik, Saok, and Miyit. So we know Saok and Miyit, or Ok and Miyitni means it is Monday, okay? So we don't need that for your, what were you guys going to do again for homework? Your birthday?
And month. Birth date and month.
So your birth date, the date of the month, you're going to end with mitit, M-I-T-I-T, mitit. And to make that a statement, you're going to add the N-I on the end. like metitni. It's was asan metitni. Okay, so that's it. Just means it is the again, kla, it is again. Its womb is what? What is its womb?
The 70,
Okay,
70.
wo, okay, kasa kasa, yeko, imisa,
Ktunaxa.
was asa, wokata, kaikit o, it o.
10.
So what is it o? 10.
10.
10, sa, again, was asa.
7.
70.
So 10 plus 7 is what? The
17.
17th. Yeah, 17th day of the month, Naktasok.
Tasok. Okay.
The tonic
And
is
Naktasok,
January.
Natanik is months. Naktasok is what month? January. I think somebody,
Yeah.
yeah, January. Yeah, so it is the 17th of January, of the month of January, is what that says. So you would use that form on your, for your birth dates. And then let's give you guys a little bit more. When we first started, you guys were all given the place who kake. Did we learn that yet? I come from who kake.
Oh,
We did that at the very beginning sessions, Alfred, when we did the town names.
Okay, so let's do that. So you're going to give your birth date, and then you're going to say where you're from, who kake, and then there was all those names I'd given you.
If it makes it easier for everyone, I can send out a template with Alfred's instructions in an email later this week.
So as teachers and instructors, how does it feel to get homework?
I think it's really good for us. We forget, I think, sometimes how hard it is to spend all day in a space where someone else is kind of the boss of your learning to a degree, where you have to always be thinking. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there any other questions? We still have some time. Oh, here we go. I don't know why the homework slide showed up.
Sorry, I was trying to find the gaki. But
I think
Oh,
we
do you
just
know
did that
how?
with the conversation that wasn't on a slide.
Okay. that
Yeah,
makes
we
sense.
just did that when we had the maps out. But I will put out a template that says, if you want, Alfred, we can do Hugak Mera, Hugaki Gachik, and Hustupka. Like we can do that whole template if you want. So you can say your name,
okay,
where you're from, and then your birthday. Would that be
okay.
acceptable to everyone?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Do we not have the clothing on here yet, or do you want to review the clothing? Okay. Okay, let's just do, we still have some time here, so let's review the clothing. So do you want to read those?
Come,
Kantan.
Um,
Gam, Hasha,
San. Hasha.
Gapu,
Kumini.
Unimu,
Unimus.
Kantan.
Nam,
Kana
Kana. Kitsanu. Kakanimu.
akbok
Kakani, Mu,
Anu.
desu kane mo
Inara,
Akaswums.
akamusa
Inam,
akathik
Akasekinam.
akasinam
Akakinam. Kitikakaya.
it
Kanam.
ik ayukanam
good. That sounded good. I was hearing, a lot of the, all the different voices in there, even though it was sort of all sort of jumbled, but I was able to hear the different words and making out the words. I'm just trying to think of how to try and get a little bit more or think of a way of having the group remember some of the easier ones like shu, san. Sikapo should be an easy one because that's from le capot, from the French le capot. Sikapo, you got clan, sikapo, bastia is a Metz, and omne is to sleep. Omne, omnemos, the thing you sleep with, or the yeah, omnemos. Ktunaxa. You'll notice that most of those have got the PU hard K, book, and that basically refers to your butt. Kanak book means to put your butt into. So the pants, really, the word for pants is describing the action that you're putting your butt into that clothing, piece of clothing. Nam. I haven't been able to figure that one out. I have to talk to an more fluent speaker because that's I'm not too sure whether that means hanging from your butt or what that really is describing, that word. So isu kakanemos, the scarf, means to cover up your neck, the thing that is used to cover up your neck. Si kakanemos. And akatwumsa, I has something to do with the tail, but I'm not too sure. Akatwumsa can be a shirt or a dress, a long full dress. And sometimes it's got a T on the end. Akatwumsat is how I learned it. But you know, they're both the same. Akatwumsa. So I'm thinking of how you would learn these parts. We've still got a few weeks to work to that. And then the other way would be to break them up, like tisse means to cover in the scarf. Gak is part of the neck, the word for the neck, and moch is the thing too. So we've got two moch words, omne moch, which is pajamas. And we've got the tam, T-A-M for belt ending, the nam ending for skirt, and the nam ending for sock, and the nam ending for the toque. Kitik, ayuka. So ayuka is the word for hat, and kitik means stretch, to be stretchy. So a stretchy hat. And the nam is just meaning nobody's in particular, no ownership. And so the sock, akasikinam, is, I always picture that as putting it onto your foot. But but that's how I remember that word. Kasikinam means,
Alfred,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Do you have how we could say put on your and then shan, put on your atam kamtam?
Yeah.
Please. Doesn't have to be now.
Yeah,
Either, I know.
but I'm just trying to grab a hold of it. There is two words for, okay, kana sikin, the siki, the kana, let's say from pants, kana folk, the kana, and then the siki from the socks, kana siki, kana sikin, shanis. So put on your shoes.
Danan
That
seke
basically means,
sanas.
yeah, san nes. The nes is ownership.
Sanes. Nes.
Yeah.
Thank
Kanasikin
you.
sanes. And for
Ganasakin. Sanes.
for your jacket would be I'm gonna have to think of that one because there's two different there's one word that pertains to hanging on the upper body, and then there's the other part where you are putting your feet into or your butt into. And right now I can't think of the upper body word, the verb for that.
Alfred, I might have asakinin, kayukanas.
Sakinin. That could be a I haven't heard that one, but that is a term that you can use, asakinin. But I've never heard that when I was growing up. Oh, what the heck was it? The verb kanit, kanit, hard Qamit, kanit, is to have to be wearing from the upper body, kanit. And I'm just trying to think of put on your jacket.
No pressure for now. I could really use that with the children every
Yeah,
day.
my brain just isn't going to that.
It's full of lots of things.
So-
Thank you.
Yeah,
Certainly.
so you notice that with me struggling with some of these different things, because I'm not a fluent speaker, I understand it a lot, but I haven't been able to speak it a lot to people, and that's one of our drives that we have with our local, with our fluent speakers, is we want to get more time having them together to start just speaking the Ktunaxa language, which hasn't been a priority for years and years and years. It's been my priority, but it's been nobody else's priority. So we're finally getting to that where some of the speakers are starting to get a little bit more vocal about we need to do that because they're having a hard time to find the words, like in like just trying to find the word for kanit was hard because I could visualize it, but I couldn't find the word. So finally I was able to get it. But yeah, for next week I'll have that for you.
Certainly.
Okay, any other questions?
I have a quick question about numbers and how that kind of goes together. We when we were doing numbers way back at the beginning, we would be like in Missa ni nupku would say that 6 bear, like that's how you would say it. But you're gonna think this is weird, but it's from something that we were doing before and I want to correct it. So we were working on a story that would say nupku sees, and now we would say in Missa ni sina, like 6 beaver. But when we're saying something like bear sees, nupku sees, like what would be the correct kind of way to say that sentence, like bear sees 6 beaver? Or
Okay,
yeah, or is that just
so
is something we maybe shouldn't be trying? Because when we work with our younger learners, a lot of it is animal number. And so I want to make sure we're
Yeah.
structuring the sentence right.
okay, what was the sentence that you had?
Let's say bear sees 6 beaver.
Okay, right now, what is in your mind? What have you?
So we said, because we
formatted?
just used the English word, I'm sorry. Yes, I am on. We said nupku sees, and then we just said enmissa sina. So I already know that should be in Masani sina. Because that describes the, yeah, it's just the bear sees part. Like it'd be like George
Okay.
sees. Yeah.
Nope. So the verb you want for sees is wokati.
Mhm.
Nopo wokati in misani sina. And that's just baby talk,
Mm.
which which is what you guys can do.
It's our grade 1 crew.
So you go nopo bear saw wokati in misan. We'll go in misani sina. And then you can add an sinas. It just ends the sentence neatly. I don't know why. That doesn't mean it means plural, but it's just a sound that is used to end the sentence. So noko wokati in misan, or it just even in misa. Let me just get my mind straight here. Oh, bear sees noko wokati. So you would only use the term 6 in misa sina. If you add the ni to that, in misane sina, that you are saying there are 6 beavers.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. I get it. Yeah. Okay.
So
Is
you would
Wukati
use
sorry, is it Wukati Wukati?
wokati.
Oh, phew. Okay. That does make more sense. I get it.
So yeah, that's a basic sentence structure that's easy to use. But if you say okay ne golilo, that you've already made a statement. There is one butterfly. Do you understand that? So kasane san means there's 3 shoes. You're already making a statement when you use the ni ending. Kasane san means there are 3 shoes. So whenever you are using the numbers to say someone saw 3 shoes, you would say kasa san. Who wokati I saw Ho is I. Ho wukati kasa san. Are there any other questions or sentences to? Okay, have I confused everybody?
It's definitely enough in the brain each week. Definitely enough.
Yeah, that's my mind. Like once I start talking into, it's really hard because I have to tie up my tongue because I could go so many different ways with that. Where I have to say with the what I call the basics, I call it the foundation for building up the language. I know, Mara, you can talk a little bit about that, of how we worked with the basics at first, building the foundation, and to where we're at now.
Yes, we've been given a great opportunity. We started with connector words, and then we were given, and I joined a little bit later than when Alfred started. So previous to my experience, I'm not sure what they were given, but when I got there, we got connector words, and then we were given starters, sentence starters, and then we were given root words and now endings. So it's coming full circle, and realizing how much work is in one word, we're just getting to that now. And that's 2 years in.
It's so storytelling, the language, and it's so rooted in place. It's beautiful. But yeah, lots to think about. Thanks.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like where I know with the group, the bigger group, the Tuesday night group, they were so keen and enthusiastic. I told them, I said, you guys don't want to be pushing me there because I could totally confuse you guys. There's so many different levels of the language that I have to be very cautious as to what, how I put things out for the different levels of, people learning the language. So what I'm working at now, like what I did is broke up the language into different pieces. The connectors. When we first started, we started with like here, ho wokati, I saw.
Oh, okay.
Huchas wokati, I will go see, or mo wokati, past tense, I saw. And yeah, there's three of those parts of what I call notions. And in Ktunaxa, we have a possibility of 15 different notions. We've got the questions in there. Kin wokat, did you see? So there's all those different levels of the learning process. So on the new language. So it's very, I have to be cognizant of what I'm saying coming out of my mouth at different groups. So
And just even with
really
that, sorry, Alfred, but just even with that, with look and see, they're completely different words with completely different tenses as well, depending on if you're going to look or if you did see, they're completely different. So wrapping your brain around that along with the 15 tenses, it's not easy just to make those sentences. So when we get those really beautiful, easy ones, oh, that's such a joy.
Yeah, so we have two words for to see, like two different words. One is look at, and the other one is to look at, tikat. So those are the same notions to see, and then I had to figure out how do I differentiate between look at and tikat, and because my other group was so inquisitive, they wanted the answers, and we were never taught the difference between wokat and tikat. Ho tikati it took discusses means I am looking at a newspaper, which is totally different than ho wokati it took discusses. I saw a newspaper. So those are really interesting things where I had to learn as a teacher, and my own, like I said, my own teaching methods was fairly difficult to get into that mind frame of making sure that the group got to understand the difference. You could see someone, right, who wokati, if you see someone in the mall, you could use the term or the verb wokat, but you can't say, oh, mo tikatisne in the mall, which means I looked at you or I saw you. You couldn't use that verb in that expression because tikat is almost like looking at a person like up close. I had to differentiate. It means up close, tikat, and wokat is far away. And whether that's the proper way to do it or not, that's how we had to differentiate the two of them. Because both of them give you the same idea of what, like tikat, wokat. I saw a newspaper, or I'm reading or looking at a newspaper. So it's a very interesting language. And then we've got with my main group, what I'm working with now, I've been working with it for quite a few times. I'm working on a paper with the what they call the prefixes, which means a 3-letter sound or a 4-letter sound will indicate something. Like IKT, ikt means to lift up. When the group will start hearing ikt, they'll automatically go to seeing something being lifted up. And then with the endings, kin, kin, to, let's see, let me find out. Chukati, no, chukati. So with the endings, with what I did some work on was with something done with the hand. And then KIK, kik is either hokakini, the KI means coming from the speech. So yeah, it's a pretty complicated language. And there's times when I don't understand what it means or why it's the way it is. So you guys are just learning the very, very basics. And I'm very fussy with teaching the basics first. So you guys got the sounds, you guys got some of the colors, the basic, and then animals, and then start putting the sentences together using verbs, and then teaching. I think the group only ended up with 20 some verbs that I taught, but there are hundreds of verbs. I haven't given them the verb list that I have from years ago that working with the language. And what I call the notions of some of the verbs of how the people said it. So yeah, a lot of work, and we are with a group, we're collecting all this information and all the work that I'm doing for the language to be able to put it back together and I'm visualizing it as a 2 to 3 year university program for the Ktunaxa language. So it's good to be working with this group because it gives us a really good baseline for teaching, some usable words, but not going higher and higher. It's more complicated. So it's challenging. Like my brain is just so, wrapped up in, like, I'll spend 6-7 hours working at, like the paper I'm working on are the prefixes. And I can't remember what page number I've got, but I've got like 200 different prefixes, that, when the group, I'll be teaching when they hear akan is a 4-letter sound. So that means something up high. Akan kokat means bird's nest up high. So that is where the bigger group is going, and those are going to be my teachers, the future teachers of the language, because they'll have all the different parts. They'll understand all the different parts. And once we've got that far, then we're going to start trying to use the different parts so that they really get a concrete idea on how the language works. So you guys were lucky. You guys have me to teach you guys. The next group is going to be Mara with some of our other people to learn how to teach the basics. So, which is really good. I'm hoping we'll get 2 more groups. So all our participants in another group will get a chance to do some teaching.
Well, I volunteer
Yeah.
our school as a guinea pig school for sure. Miss Crystal has been working with the kindergartens for years, and we would love to have, and I think we have a way to support people to come in, so that it's, anytime, call me. We've got a system set up at our school to have people come, and so it's so important to us at our school and everywhere, I think, to anchor any language learning that we're doing to a Ktunaxa speaker. And we've been able to anchor to Miss Crystal for a long time, but you also don't want to, put the weight of a lot of language learning on a single person. So if anybody is feeling like they would like to teach, we are all in to have you come for sure.
Yeah, Crystal is in our group. She was one of the ones that started that other group. And it was funny how it started because it wasn't even planned. Same as this group wasn't planned. And so I always say, you guys, the 2 groups are my guinea pigs in checking to see, is this really working the way, we want it to work for grasping the language. And so Crystal has been very important part in the other group, in that she's disperses all the information I give her to send out to the group, and she's always in contact with sending the information out. So, and then we're getting into conversation sometime, I think towards the end, if you guys want, we can play a little bit of conversation so you guys could hear the language the way it's spoken by fluent speakers.
That would be very
And
helpful at some point.
I'll pick a slow speaking recording, because it was funny. We did a conversation, I think it was like just over an hour, like different pieces of conversation. It wasn't planned like the agenda. There was no format to the conversation. It was just a conversation. So our two speakers went to different places with their conversation. And then we'd have a break. And my Tuesday group, they said, oh, they were talking so fast. And I laughed because I had just received a recording from another meeting I was at, and it's a recording of one of the old, let's say my great granny's generation, where she was recording and this lady was talking. And so I played a little piece for them. And I said, because they were saying, well, geez, this conversation was really fast. We had a hard time to grasp some of the sounds. And I said, oh, that was a really nice, slow speed conversation. And I said, you want to hear fast? So I played this other recording, and it was fast. They thought that I had it on fast speed. And I said, no, that was normal speed for the lady to talk. So yeah, there's all kinds of interesting things that, we can do. And I can see this, this group wanting to, if they want to expand a little bit more, learn about, a few more things. And we haven't even touched into cultural things or history, so those are all sort of doors that are so open. So, and
Certainly.
again, it's sort of a rogue group. Our group is a very rogue group in that we're not tied to the Nation Council or any better. We're probably more closer tied to ACAM, but the Crystal is the only one with her 2 or 3 helpers that she has. They're the only ones that we're linked to. We're not linked to any of the political groups or anything like that. But they're starting to hear about what we're doing. And they're sort of, curious about what's really going on. So we've had Sophie Pierre, one of our fluent speakers, with, dropping in because her granddaughter is involved in our language group. And she has been saying that it's been a very, she's happy that we've got so far as we have with the language. That's the first time in, like I said, 40 years that I've been dealing with the language that we've gotten that far. Usually we get started and then there's a lot of enthusiasm and then it peters out. So, but.
I think I can only speak for myself, but I'm extremely pleased to be here and feel like I'm learning a lot. So don't. And Tuesday night sounds too intense. This sounds great. I'm cognizant of everyone's screen time and people peeling off to put their children to bed. So I'm going to say Gesuk Gesmeet. Gesuk Gesmeet. Gesmeet.
Tukni kisuk kismet.
Tukni.
Kisu tikmiet happiness kiss.
Sukini, Alfred. See you
Okay.
next week.
See you next week,
Yep.
everyone.
See you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jade. Appreciate your time.